What's up, witches?
What's up?
I'm Linda,
And I'm John.
and this is Getting Witchy. And
Yes, indeed.
yes, it is. And today we are going to be talking about the Celtic gods and goddesses.
They are just as twisted. Well, I mean, yeah, they're just as twisted as the Greek pantheon.
Oh, yeah?
And Roman. And, I mean, well, there's 400 of them.
Yes.
That sounds more like a Hindu fucking pantheon, to be honest. Excuse my language, or not. But, anyway, yeah, the Celtic. And from my research, although I lean very heavily towards the Gaelic and Irish stories, myths, pantheon, and so forth, I knew nothing. Really, I mean, in the grand. Like, did you know there was a king? Okay, so there was a king that was ruling, and during a battle, which I will give more detail later, but during the battle, he lost his right hand, so he lost the right to rule. His brother made him a sterling silver hand. Didn't quite give him the right to rule, apparently, but that hand was stolen by his brother's son, so his nephew, who his father promptly killed and used dude's right hand to attach to his brother's, and he was able to rule again after defeating the person that succeeded him, or his successor. It's dude. And the whole sex thing is in there too. They were fucking twisted.
Okay.
I'm just
Well,
saying,
yeah, I mean,
like, that's, I don't know. Anyway, today, Saturday is it 13th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a really cheesy movie called Saturday the 14th. Like Friday the 13th,
Mm-hmm.
they did a Saturday the 14th as a parody. It was funny, but it was cheesy as shit. Anyway, I just thought of that.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyway, today we did our first
Vendor event.
for
Three Sisters Botanicals, which is our herbal shop, clinical herbalist, where you can get an herbal consultation.
I just call it an apothecary.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's that too. We make personal care products, and we also make like witchy potions, like harmony powder and
The kids loved the
wish powder.
The kids
That
loved,
was a
and
popular
it was very
prize today.
well. You know what's interesting though is yes, it was popular. However, see, we had a little like Wheel of Fortune hand.
Yes.
We took
The prize
basically like this is or was our very first event. So some things were kind of like we just brainstormed and created something.
Yes.
So during a yard sale event, or a yard sale exploration
Yes.
that we did one weekend, which we haven't done in a while. But anyway, we ran across something, domino set. I wanted the domino set. And dude was like, the domino set is like, what, $7?
Something like
So
that.
but
if you take all these other games
All the games, it's
for
just
10
10.
bucks.
So I'm like, I mean, they were
Sure.
all used, but I was like, okay. And did it, and only one of the games had all the pieces
Yes.
out of 5.
One of the games was
Including life.
Life, the SpongeBob version.
But anyway, it has the spinning wheel thing. So we talked about it, and she created a homemade version with a piece of cardboard from the back of a notebook, spiral notebook, and then one of my Grandma Kane's thimbles. And it worked pretty well. It was a balancing thing.
Yeah.
But we're going to get a
Yeah,
real
we're
one.
going to get a real one.
We're going to get, but we had that, and you made...
Oh, we had so many different prizes that could be won. We had wish powder, harmony powder. We had the lavender and oats milk bath salts. We had the rose hibiscus bath salts. There were 4 different aromatherapy blends you could choose from. One was success, one was focus, one was grief relief, and then
female balance.
Female balance, yes. And then there were like 6 different liquid extracts you could choose from, which each one has its own.
No one won that.
Well, there was one kid who did, but he was like, "What is that for?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, never mind." But he was the first person who spun the wheel.
Okay.
And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Or if you don't want that, you can choose one of these other things." He's like,
Right.
"You know what? I'm good."
Well, I think I'm sorry, I got squirrel. So my point, yes, the wish powder was very popular, but it was literally people spun the dial and it landed on the color that was associated to the wish powder.
Right.
Just saying, like, destiny, universe, like. And wish powder is really good for kids because it helps them keep
magical life.
Yes.
Yes, and we even had that one lady who, from Ashley from the travel agency,
right,
who had come over, and that was her prize.
I think they call themselves travel advisors now.
Well, okay, travel advisors.
I just saw that somewhere, but.
But she had won a large vial of the wish powder, and when I explained to her what it does, she was like, "Oh, that's so great because I have kids."
That's perfect for my kids.
Yeah, that's perfect for my kids. And we decided to let her spin again to see if she could win something for herself.
Which she did.
She won
took success.
The success aromatherapy.
So the other popular thing was that aromatherapy, your choice of, and everybody, literally everybody. You didn't make any other rollers.
I think there was only one other.
Where was I? Getting something from the car?
No, you were there. It was... The girl's mom had already come through and won something, and then the girl chose focus.
Gotcha.
Originally,
that's right. Yeah.
Originally, she said success, and then she's like, "No, wait, I think focus is more what I need right now." But yeah, originally success.
And I love that because she's putting energy into it as well, without even touching it yet. She's putting the energy out there.
She's like, "No, this is what I need."
Anyway, it was what was this? The spring
carnival in Santan Valley, Arizona, which was our very first vendor event. I had never heard of this before, and I'm glad we participated.
I'm glad we went. I'm what I'm disappointed with the whole thing is that after talking to your friend, which we haven't discussed whether or not mentioning names, so I don't know if that's appropriate or not. If we haven't.
Yeah, I haven't really discussed that with her, but.
Anyway, with your friend, come to find out there were 30 people, 30 vendors
30 different vendors that signed up
to be there, and there were I think
only
the 10 or 11.
I think only 10 of us showed up.
Yeah, so that was kind of disappointing because that's a full 2/3.
Right.
And at one side of me is like, well, I kind of understand it, but at the same time, the reason I understand it is effed up because I understand it because like shit comes up. Like I didn't pay anything to be there.
Right.
It was free. I didn't pay anything to be there, which note, it's free. Like, if you have something you're doing, like...
it was free to the vendors. It was free to anybody who showed up to
they had
participate.
A modern DJ system. I say modern because there were no records.
Yeah,
it was
there were
all
no records.
playlists.
It was all...
But they had a bubble machine. Kids love that.
Oh, yeah.
They freaking love that. It was a good show. I'm just disappointed that 2/3 of the vendors that signed up chose not to follow through with their commitment.
And I think another thing that may have
hurt them...
I'm
calling you out. For whatever that's worth.
I think another thing, though, that may have hurt them was that the address we were given led to a school across the street from where we actually work.
And down about a football field, roughly. But still, though...
but we at least turned around and checked it out and said...
Well, because there were people set up with the canopies. Like, common sense, which I know is rare right now. I get it. But common sense would be what we had. It'd be like that. There's a football game going on, right? This can't be where they want us. There's a park right over there.
There's a
just
whole bunch
right
of
there.
Sports.
And canopy. So we went back.
So we went back, checked in and found out.
But there was nobody really to check in with. That was another thing. They said
Yeah.
go to the State Farm canopy or tent, and
right,
the
and
dude
check
was
in,
like,
and the dude
I
was
don't know
like,
what
I
you're
have
talking
no
about.
idea. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, but again, first time experience.
First time experiences. It was awesome. Wish we could do the whole, what is it, tomorrow?
Oh, the spring fling.
Spring fling.
In
where
Queen Creek.
and their thing was
Drink, and dine and shop.
Drink, dine, and shop.
Yeah. And they
I like that.
They were talking about having things like permanent jewelry and
Oh,
clothes and a whole bunch of stuff. And
so
it's like,
okay.
you know, but I mean, if I had known about that, like that would have been something else I could have gotten into.
Plan for, yeah. But there's next year.
Yes, there is next year, and we are also going to be expanding into other vendor events.
Yes.
And before we even get into our topic, I do want to thank our viewers and listeners because we have hit quite a few milestones in the past few weeks since our last posting. We are now number one in, I think, 3 different Good Pods leaderboards. And we're like top 5 in 5 of them, which is
cool.
Awesome because originally we were like top 10 in 5 of them. We've hit like 600 views on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And like 700 downloads on our audio podcast.
Okay.
So like we're doing really well.
I mean, considering we're doing this for fun, we're not going out chasing shit down like
right.
Ambulance chasers. Look at this crazy fool.
Right.
Or doing skits, although that could be fun. Like there's a couple channels I watch that deliberately set up skits, and they're kind of cool.
Yeah,
some of them.
they're fun.
Anyway, but so we're going to be doing that. We're already talking about what was that in October?
Oh, the Women's Expo.
Yeah. We still got to look into that. We're not saying we're going to be there, but that is our plan. Well, she will be. Yeah, I would assume I could participate as a vendor.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And if you're in the Phoenix area, we're also looking into venturing out into the Gifts and Graces at the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. So you can also look for us there too.
Okay. So, the Celtic gods and goddesses. You know, that whole thing we just did would be a short too. You realize that, right?
I know.
Okay. The Tuatha De Danann, which by conventional English right now basically means the folk of the goddess Danu. Was known at an earlier time as just Tuatha De. Tuath De, not Tuatha. There is no other vowel after Tuath, but which meant the tribe of the gods. They were a supernatural race. They acknowledge they're kind of like again like the Hindus, where they acknowledge that they call them gods, but they don't call them gods at the same time. They know that they are a supernatural race of individuals that represented different deities within their pantheon. So
Okay.
I'm saying that correctly. They were depicted as kings, queens, druids, bards, warriors, heroes, and healers and craftsmen. Now, again, they're not saying that they were the gods of, even though it being supernatural, but they were represented as all those things. An interesting aspect is that unlike the Greek and Roman pantheon, they had multiple kings that ruled. Now there is one that was said to be the father god, Dagda, which we talked about that. There are so many I guess religions, even though that's not what they are, that have Dagda or Dogda or some variance of that word or name. in them that I found that interesting. But there were also the Fomorians. In Celtic mythology, they were giants. Well, how does that sound familiar? That were the very first group of beings. Again, they're using the term beings.
Right.
They don't call them gods necessarily, and that's in multiple sources, based on written myth and poems, which is where most of, just like the Greek ones. So, and just like the Greek, I mean, you had the Titans,
Right.
who were overthrown by the Olympians.
Right.
Well, that's what happened with them. Where there was a great battle between them. The god in question that I mentioned earlier, or king in question, lost his hand in that battle. They won. The Tuatha Dé Danann. They won, which is exactly what happened with the Olympians. But that's where he lost his hand, and then his brother gave him the silver one. It's interesting as fuck. Like, it's well written. So anyway, the Dagda was the father god of the Celtic pantheon, and plays an important role in many of the stories in Irish lore. He was the god of earth and is known as the good god, which I find it because there was in Sumerian with Enki and Enlil, one was considered the good god,
Right.
who it ended up getting twisted as he was the serpent somehow.
Yes.
He's the leader. Now this is where it gets. This is in multiple sources. He's the leader of the Tuatha Dé Danann, but then there's kings. Yeah, I need to dig a little bit deeper. He's portrayed as the father figure, king, and druid, associated with fertility, agriculture, manliness, strength. We need this god to come back
Right.
in today's world. Anyway, manliness, strength, and magic, druidry, and wisdom.
Yes, we need him to come back. Please come back, Dagda.
Now, I really have not been able to look up the pronunciation of these things. I looked up several, and they literally gave me the modern English pronunciation of the way the letters were set up. Like, I know that's not how they did not pronounce what's where. Yeah, it's spelled Dian, and in some instances there's a space, and some not. And then it's Cect, Cecht, and it was pronounced Diane Set. Yeah, I know that's not, but anyway. So then there's Cernunnos, the horned one, which in many instances I found his image being interchanged with Dagda.
Really?
Yes, in many sources, like because they almost describe the same entity. I mean, it's the horn. Because Dagda is usually seen with horns, antlers, and a staff, and then Cernunnos has the what they call the torque, but it's that either brass or gold ring around, basically a fucking necklace or a choker.
Okay.
With large antlers, specifically of a stag, and then sometimes at his side is a horned serpent. Yeah, a serpent with antlers. My Cernunnos doesn't have that. It has the serpent, but not with antlers. What?
So your Cernunnos is a knockoff Cernunnos?
No, but the image that I have of him, that statue that we got.
I understand what you're saying, I think.
He's often depicted seated. Like that.
Oh, so he has the serpent down here.
And
but
here.
He's got...
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
That's my
Carnunos.
statue of Carnunos. And I've got also, or we've got the statue of the goddess that you'll be talking about.
Which one?
Well, there's a couple, but one specifically that usually takes on the 3 stages or 3 aspects. Do you want to?
No, go over your stuff first.
Okay. Now, one that I have mentioned or started to mention is Agnes Og. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and I apologize to my ancestors, but he was the Celtic god of youth and love. He was a son of Dagda, because Dagda fooled basically he pulled a Zeus and tricked the river goddess, who was already betrothed, not just betrothed, married, and they bore a child. And if I'm getting the myth right, and I'm pretty positive I am, with this particular situation, because he rules basically all of Earth, he froze the sun in position to where her whole pregnancy was 1 day. Yeah. So for 9 months,
1 day.
he froze the sun in the sky. So her pregnancy was 1 day, and then they could hide the fact that he got her pregnant. Yeah, it's pretty far out. Angus Oak is usually depicted with birds flying around him, which are said to symbolize the kisses and love that surrounds him at all times. Then there's Diane Chet. That's the way it was. I know that's not how it's pronounced. Dean Chet, thought to be the god of healing. I say thought to be because it is listed in multiple sources that he did some kind of healing act, but he's never named as being the god of medicine or anything. He's definitely an engineer or an inventor. He created the silver hand for his brother after he lost it in the battle. It was called, it's up here. Sorry, guys. The Battle of Mag Tirid, which was equivalent, as I mentioned. That's why squirrel moment. I was talking about
right.
The similarities between the Greek, fighting the Titans. So, thought to be the god of healing and medicine, since he was technically the physician of the Tuatha De Danann. Again, I've spoke of this a couple times. It's a legend that, I didn't mention this actually. There's a legend that he blessed a well called the Well of the Slain. So if you were injured, you could bathe in this well and it would heal you. Interestingly, another storyline is a friend of his who ruled another city-state of the gods, is the way it's kind of implied. It's kind of strange. Had a well of prosperity, or well of, not a well of eternity, like you wouldn't have eternal health or eternal life, but it granted you something to drink from this well.
Okay.
And through the course of time, that got woven into Arthurian legend, and it became the Holy Grail. And that king over that land of where this well was, he became the keeper of the Holy Grail. Like, they wove that all through. They took one. It's really fascinating. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Squirrel. There's Arwan, Celtic god of the underworld, known as the underworld was known as Anwen, with no vowels.
Okay.
Or land of the dead. Puel, Pwyll. That's the one I was talking about. That was a king of another land.
Oh, well,
Quill. Arwen had a rival to rule the underworld. Again, like there's kings, but there's one father figure of. It's kind of
Right.
strange. So he had a rival that he didn't think he could beat. He asked Pwyll to trade places with him, and Pwyll and Pwyll's wife defeated dude's adversary by switching places, and he played the role of as the god of the underworld. Well, Pwyll is the king that became where he became Pelez, Pelles, who was the keeper of the Holy Grail and the Cauldron of Plenty. That's what it was, a Cauldron of Plenty, or Vessel of Plenty. Anyway, I found it very fascinating. And then there's Lug, Lugh.
Luke.
Lug. Yeah, it's not a lug nut. Not Lug.
Luke.
Lug. Which one of our Wiccan holidays is for? One of the most recent additions to the pantheon, according to 3 sources that I found. One said that it was believed that he was added on by a monk, right? Copying the stories, but that there's no real. I didn't see any. Unlike Saint Brigid, where the goddess Brigid actually became a Catholic fucking saint. But yeah, and I believe. Oh no, I got a couple more. Goy Benoit. What? Stop. Goy Benoit. Benu. Dude. Goibhniu. I know I should have done more due diligence on looking up the pronunciations, but I forgot. We have a few things going on in the last couple of days, besides work. God of weapon making and blacksmiths, was the maker of all the weapons. I found this pretty cool. Maker of all the weapons that the Tuatha De Danann used. And in the hands of the Tuatha De Danann, those weapons would never miss their target. They would always strike true.
Oh.
I found that pretty fucking interesting.
That is.
I don't ask me why. Well, there's Odin's staff that never missed. His staff that would shoot energy.
Okay.
That was one. And then Zeus's lightning bolts supposedly never missed their target. If he threw it at something, it hit it. Or them. Then there's Belenus, an ancient Celtic god, another healing god. Apparently there was a cult of Belenus that, now this is well into the after Common Era time period.
Okay.
A cult of Belenus that stretched from the Italian peninsula to the British Isles. That's a pretty big swath of land.
Mm-hmm.
And then the main home base for it was on the Adriatic coast. Then there's Niet, which sounds...
Russian.
Yeah, well, yes, it does. No, actually, it doesn't.
It does.
No, I'm just kidding. He was the god of war, the male god of war, and conveniently and not surprisingly, the god of Morrigan.
The husband of Morrigan.
Or husband of Morrigan. Now, then there's also Nuadu, a god king of the Tuatha De Danann. Again, there's another one, which is not the one that dude had to overthrow.
Right.
This is a completely different one. So also the god of hunting and fishing. Oh no, this is the same one. My bad. Lost his hand in the Battle of Magtarin with the giants, and lost his right to govern. His brother replaced it with a hand made of silver, but then this one was funny because in this source, it just says he received a functional human hand from his brother, so he could challenge the successor and win back his throne. It never mentioned that the hand came from his nephew, who stole the silver hand. Like it was pretty fucked. It was pretty interesting. And then this Tyrannus. I wonder if that's where they got the Dark Tyrannus idea from in Star Wars. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt, so
Yes,
I thought of that when I looked it up too. But the god of thunder, lightning, and storms, the equivalent of Thor, obviously, or the Roman god Jupiter.
Okay then.
Yeah. Now that's nothing out of the 400.
Right.
If the genders, which I find interesting, the ancient pantheons didn't have an issue with genders. Anyway, even if the genders were split evenly, I mean that's a dozen.
Right.
Out of that, it's just mind blowing. And how many?
Right.
Anyway.
So when it comes to the goddesses, the first one that came up for me was Kaliach. And you gotta kind of do the...
Kind of like in Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She was the goddess of the cold and the winds. She determined how long and harsh the winters would be. So if you wanted a winter to be short and mild, like you would want to basically petition her,
Right.
and
Leave out offerings and stuff like that.
right. She is originally known as a divine hag and a creator deity. She has two different aspects. She is both maiden and crone. So half of the year she spends as the maiden, and the other half she spends as the crone.
Or hag.
Or the hag, yes.
So, in case they don't know what that meant then, because those terms mean something different now.
Right. Well, so it was basically just an older woman who was beyond child rearing years, and like your typical grandma. So half of the year she spends as a young woman who is of child rearing age,
Right.
and the other half she spends as grandma.
The grandma. Wise old woman.
Wise old woman. Her tools of creation or destruction included a hammer with which she controlled storms and thunder.
Sounds kind of like Thor.
Mm.
And a hammer.
And a well which would occasionally overflow and flood the land. She was the patron of wolves emboldened by hunger. So, like when the wolves are out in the middle of winter, like she would take care of them and make sure that they had food.
Okay.
She was also a deer herder.
Hence how she had the meat to take care of them.
And on Samhain, which is the end of the Celtic year and the beginning of winter, it marks the return of Kaliach.
Okay.
Because she spends half of the year ruling, so she rules over the time when winter is present, but Brigid rules over the time of spring. So they share the year. And before anyone could rule over the land, she was basically one of the deities that you would have to petition and placate in order for her to support your ruling over the land.
Okay.
She's associated with Borach, with whom she had many children. She is also said to be the maternal ancestor of every Irish man and tribe. And the reason for that is because she was said to have had 7 periods of youth. So 7 times during which she was a young woman During those times, she had many husbands, many parents, many children. But then after the seventh one, she was forever the old woman, the crone, the hag.
Okay.
And by the time her last period of youth ended, she had already outlived all of her husbands and children.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Which I thought was kind of interesting.
But it doesn't mention grandchildren or great-grandchildren because
No.
that would, I mean, the bloodline would
Yeah.
continue. I mean,
Right.
that was the whole point of the Da Vinci Code.
Right. And then, of course, we have Brigid. Yeah, for those of you who see it, it's Brigid. It is pronounced Brigid, like Brigadier or Brigade. It is not pronounced Bridget. Brigid. Okay? G like good, not J like judge. Or George. She was the goddess of poetry, healing, smithing, spring, fertility, life, and water. She had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but wouldn't she also want a battle?
Yeah, I think so. But her holiday is Imbolc, which marks the midpoint of winter. So, as you can see right there, Imbolc. She's the goddess of wells, and many of Ireland's wells and waterways were dedicated to her. She is a triple goddess, which represents the three aspects, which according to my sources, the three aspects of fire, which are poetry, healing, and smithcraft. But in all of her aspects, she is named Brigid. Whereas in some cultures, the triple goddess has a different name for each aspect. Now, her status as a triple goddess allowed her to have many husbands, parents, and children without causing any contradictions in Celtic mythos. Which I don't
Interesting.
know how you could
I
do
find that interesting that they... Okay.
Yeah. She's associated with the arrival of spring and the return of light after the dark winter
Well,
months.
yeah, the
Because her
maiden...
right, and I mean basically her name means bright, like the rising of the sun. She rules over the springtime while the Cailleach ruled over winter. She is revered by bards and storytellers who believed that she inspired them to create beautiful works of poetry and art.
Well, she was the goddess of poetry.
Yes, she was. She's also known as a healer. Her sacred wells are said to have healing properties.
Again, sacred wells.
Yes.
Interesting.
Also associated with the craft of metalworking and was believed to be the patron goddess of blacksmiths.
Really?
Yes.
That's cool.
She's
a badass.
She's a badass.
I mean, she was already a badass, but yeah.
Her father was Dagda. So she
That
is...
mother... Now, dog. Now you know how I got his name.
Her mother is said to be Danu.
Oh, shit.
Yes. So she is a member of the Tuatha De Danann.
So, wait a minute. So, Danu being the mother goddess of all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was the children of Danu or the gods of Danu, followers,
right,
whatever.
The tribe of Danu.
Tribe of Danu. So, her being primordial, it's the same story as the primordial connection with the goddess and her firstborn.
Mm-hmm. So,
okay.
yeah,
Anyway.
her mother is Danu, her father is Dagda, so,
He is her father and grandfather.
yeah. So,
Well, no.
she was the sister of
No, he is her brother and father.
yes. But anyway,
Yeah.
she was also the wife of High King Bress, who was
The one that lost his hand.
and
Interesting they call it High King.
and the
That's not what
mother of Ruadan, which was Bress's son.
Okay.
Moving on, we have And this is one thing I find interesting. There are some gods and goddesses that they just refer to by name, like Brigid.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are others that they refer to as like the Kaliach.
Mm.
And then there's this other one, this next one, the Morrigan.
See, I think, to me, what that says is that those are titles.
Well, and Kaliach
And not
actually
just because
is a title.
it's not just because the is there, but Morrigan sounds to me like a title, not necessarily a name. Now we've changed it over the centuries to be Morgan, or Morgan,
Right.
Morrigan, or Morgan, but that's not the way it was. And that sounds to me like a title. I think that's why.
It does, but in every source, like, she's never referred to as just Morrigan.
No.
She's referred to
Yeah.
as the Morrigan. As with Kaliach, she's always referred to as the Kaliach. But Kaliach actually is a title. It means the hag or the old woman, the crone. Whereas with Morrigan, like, there's nobody has ever, none of the sources I've read
Define what that means.
what that means. It's just her name, but everybody always refers to her as the Morrigan.
It's probably one of those things where it means. Sorry, didn't mean to go back into prepubescent there. Based on everything that I know of Morrigan, be it the various movie, TV, lots of literature about. It's usually a her too.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually always
a
her.
her.
To me, I feel that title means, like, the Christians would call it the evil one, but I would more define the title as the dark one, which doesn't necessarily mean evil.
Right.
Or the dangerous one, which also doesn't necessarily mean evil. It means if you cross her, you're fucked.
Right.
But that's, to me, what I got. I believe that those are titles, not names. But
Okay, so the Morrigan was the goddess of war and fate, or is the goddess of war and fate. Powerful goddess associated, also a triple goddess.
Ooh.
Often depicted as a trio of sisters
I
or
would
as
love
a
to
shapeshifter who could take on various forms, including that of a crow.
Well, yeah, that I knew, based on the stuff that which freaked people out that someone can shapeshift.
So are you, like, having a fantasy of sisters right now or something?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm talking about I'm talking about the shapeshifting into a crow.
Okay.
But I found it fascinating that she also has a triple goddess. What did I just miss? What? Oh my goodness.
She was said to appear on the battlefield before important battles, predicting the outcome and sometimes choosing who would live or die.
Well, I mean, some faiths or beliefs think that the crow guides the spirit
To the
Right.
to the other world, yeah. And much like the Kaliach, she is also associated with sovereignty and the power to rule and protect a kingdom. So she is also another one that if you wanted to rule over a land, you had to placate her first
So
and gain her favor.
12 fucking pissed her off. So she made it so he lost his hand. And he had to work his way back to get it. That's what it sounds like to me.
She was said to test the courage and worthiness of kings and to grant or withhold her favor based on their actions. And she's also sometimes seen as a terrifying force of destruction, but at other times as a protector of the weak and the oppressed.
She
So
sounds
again,
like a Hindu god.
So again, she's,
going back to that.
Like the dangerous one. Like, she will protect those who need protecting, but she'll also fuck you up if you cross her.
Again, it sounded an awful lot like Hindu faith with different names. And without all the fancy colors and everything.
Right.
The way they do it. Which, that's going to be an interesting one for us to do.
Oh, my goodness.
That might need to be a two-parter.
Yeah, I think
Honestly, that might need to be a two-parter.
I think that's going to have to be a two-parter. Is that the next
probably
one?
Be no.
No?
No, it'll be our last.
Okay.
We need to prepare for it.
Okay. So next we have Epona, who was the goddess of horses.
Horses had their own goddess?
Yeah.
All right. Well, they're majestic
Sure.
creatures.
They
I
are.
like them. They're...
I love them. They don't seem to like me.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, have I ever? Okay.
They really
No.
like Catherine the Great.
Okay, so my grandfather...
You're just going to ignore that
Yes,
completely,
no,
right?
I hear you. But my grandfather worked on a ranch for as long as I can remember. He taught me to ride horses. Taught me how to climb a rope. And like lots of stuff. And during the times that we would go visit him, we would always go horseback riding. Y'all, I have been bucked off, meaning like the horse bucks and you go over the front. I've been thrown off the back. I've been rolled over on. I've been kicked in the knee by fucking horses, and yet for some stupid reason I continue to get up on them. So.
No, I was just saying you continue...
To,
Not on horse. No, that would make you Catherine the Great. You thought I wouldn't throw that back in?
Anyway.
But that's cool that horses had their own goddess.
Yes.
I
Yes.
did not know that. See, again,
Yes,
I lean towards this pantheon, but I obviously don't know shit about this pantheon. There's so much info.
Yes, so she's believed to protect the horses and the riders, and was often depicted as a woman riding a horse or standing beside one. She's also associated with fertility and abundance, and her worship was particularly popular among the Gaulish and Roman cavalry.
I want. Did you happen to look at what maybe her stones or crystals were? Like every god and goddess has like.
I have not.
Because in Native American beliefs, turquoise is the protector of those that ride horses.
Oh.
And I'm curious if...
Yeah, I have not looked that up. She was believed to have the power to protect travelers and ensure safe journeys. And many people would offer her gifts before setting out on long journeys. So if they were going to be traveling overseas or going on long journeys on foot or on horseback, like they would make offerings to her to ensure that they had a safe journey. And she was also seen as the protector of the natural world and associated with the cycles of life and death.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Danu, the mother goddess, the mother of the Tuatha De Danann, or Danann, the ancient Irish gods and goddesses. She was believed to be the mother of all the gods and associated with fertility, motherhood, and cycles of nature.
So based on what I just quickly found, turquoise is one of her stones.
Oh, look at you. Danu was a nurturing figure who protected her children and provided for their needs. Mother. Good mother.
But she's not considered Mother Earth.
Well, no, but she's the mother goddess.
Okay. Well, like in others, the female goddess, the primary female goddess.
Oh, the primordial one is seen as Mother Earth.
Earth.
No, not really with her.
Because that's
But
Dagda.
she is associated with the land and the natural world, and her worship was closely tied to agriculture and the growth of crops. She's also a goddess of the other world, the realm of the gods and spirits that was believed to exist alongside our world. So she's not only a goddess here, she's a goddess on the other side.
Anwen, with the kingdom of Anwen.
Yes.
A-N-N-N, literally
yes.
N-N-N-N-W-N.
Yes. And then we have Rhiannon, the goddess of love and the other world. She's associated with love, beauty, and of course the other side. Often depicted riding a white horse and considered to be a protector of travelers and a guide to the other world. Also associated with fertility and abundance, and her worship was closely tied to the cycles of nature. And I believe Stevie Nicks sings about her. Her story is one of devotion and sacrifice.
Yes, she does.
According to legends, she married a mortal man who was accused of stealing her horse. To clear his name, Rhiannon chose to take the blame and was punished by being forced to carry travelers on her back for years. And eventually she was able to clear her name and was reunited with her husband.
which his name was again?
The sources that I read
I
didn't
think
say.
that's okay. Anyway,
So,
yeah, I recognized her name. I don't
Yeah.
remember who she was married to.
So, but yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I came across.
That's like 24 of 400.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
So-
I'm going to be doing my research. The couple of books that I have here, one specifically that I thought would be really good for it, I happen to have gotten actually literally years ago. Yeah, didn't have anything. It was more of the history, which is cool too,
Right.
of the Celtic and Gaelic nations. But yeah, I got to do some research since
Yeah.
this is the one I lean towards. But they're twisted too.
Yeah.
They're so there's a story. Oh, what? Dude went looking for, and this might be with Rihanna, but or Rihanna, but I could be wrong. But there's a story where dude went looking for a wife. He came across this young maiden. He fell in love with her, but then she turned into a swan, and there were like 12 swans there. He had to figure out which one was her. If he guessed wrong, he lost her forever. But through a series of events, he guessed, which I find interesting because Zeus turned into a swan to,
Great Para.
yeah. But he had to figure out which swan was her, and he did, of course. I mean, yeah. But like, there's really weird, like, shape-shifting fucking stories of them doing some really crazy shit. It's interesting as well. Yeah. Comical even. What? You never heard that one? I will find it. I've got it in my research.
Is that not the story of Swan Lake?
I have no idea the story behind Swan Lake.
I'll have to look into
never.
that, 'cause
Anyway,
that sounds
we
familiar.
appreciate you guys. Thank you for being part of another episode. I know this one's a really long one. That's what she said.
Keep an eye on our Instagram.
We're gonna cut that out. You're
Keep
gonna edit that out.
Says you. Keep an eye on our Instagram page because we are going to be posting a contest here within the next couple days.
Oh yeah.
Where we have 3 different prizes that can be won. One of them is a chakra stone kit. One of
Really
them
cool.
is a mini travel altar. So if you've never seen what these are, they're really cool. It's basically like everything you need to do magic on the go in a small little container, like an Altoids tin,
I was just
or
gonna say that.
like a mini travel first aid kit size thing. And the third one is actually a chakra essential oils kit. So
Oh, I didn't know about
Keep-
that one. Okay.
an eye on our Instagram page because we are going to be giving the rules and how you can enter the contest for that. And that'll be up within the next couple days. So, till then, peace out,
Peace.
witches.
Good love, y'all.